Before, we thought if you make a really good product, a product that can sell itself, you won't have a problem. But in reality, there's so much pet food brands out there. Every week there's one, two new brands. Thailand, China, everywhere else. Everyone's making their own brand. And even if you say you're delivering the value, it doesn't mean people will know the value you're delivering. At most, you have maybe 5-10 seconds of a person's time, and then it's building that trust. Because here, especially when it comes to your companion animals, trust is essential and it's not very easy to get. So it's earned through time.
Thought-provoking conversations with the people shaping our country. We uncover stories behind the headlines with influential voices from the Philippines and beyond. This is Manila Bulletin's The Sit Down.
Welcome to another episode of The Sit Down. My name is Gabrielle Cristel Galang, the business reporter of Manila Bulletin. And here we have Mr. Kharl Yeung, co-founder and chief operating officer of Philippine-based pet food company Amico Innovations. And he is now part of Forbes 30 Under 30. Now, if you're a pet parent, you must have heard of Vetra Savory Beef, Amico's first product, which was launched in 2025. Yeung has experience in other startups and commercial strategy that includes blockchain-based gaming company Sovereign and 917 Ventures, which is a startup company of Globe Telecom. So nice to have you, Mr. Kharl. How are you?
I'm good, Gabby. Very excited. No?
Yeah.
A lot of things to talk to today.
Congratulations once again for being part of Forbes 30 Under 30, which is a big milestone, by the way. May we ask, how old are you?
I'm 29. So,
29.
really
Nakaabot
just under 30. Clutched under 30.
Clutch under 30.
Yes.
So once again, congratulations. Now, I want to start off by talking about your pet food business. What was the exact moment that made you go into this particular business? What was your strategy to make the brand stand out more, especially at a time when the market is already growing as more people are treating pets as part of their family?
Okay, so this was a very unexpected thing. No, 2022, our family dog passed away. And being a pet parent, you realize, back then that happened in Davao. And there, vet fees are surprisingly more expensive than what it is in Manila. Prescription food, very expensive also. And that's when you start to question, is this even affordable for the average Filipino? Because the vets will tell you, it's because of what you fed with your dog. So you, of course, when you start out, start out with the most well-marketed ones, right? And you go with the more affordable options. But what you realize, once you learn, you've studied canine, feline nutrition, is what you're feeding them is actually not good for them long term. So you save more early on, but these products, they're meant to tailor to our, market to us as humans. So there's a lot of food coloring, additives. It looks nice. The packagings, they look very nice. But long term, you spend a lot more. Vets, expensive food. You see the people around you, they're saving money. Cup noodles, ganon. Bakit? Because now, pets are becoming not bantay, but they're becoming part of the family.
Yeah.
And that's the gap that we're seeing. Either you go super expensive or you go for the bare minimum with very nice packaging, no? But the brands there, they use byproducts, leftovers that if you see the ingredient not in the kibble form, you wouldn't touch it yourself, no? And that's when it struck us now, okay, there is a gap and there is value that we can really add. Yeah, so that's where it came from. So this one, we didn't start with all the knowledge of knowing everything, but we learned animal nutrition. We've worked with animal nutritionists, and we've talked to the director of animal nutrition for like UP Dos Baños and other institutions. So it's really learning, okay, if you remove the BS, you remove the fluff, what's gonna give 90%, 95% of the benefit at a fraction of the price? We can always optimize. There are better products. There are people who optimize for the 99%, but is that 4% really worth 4 times the price, 5 times the price? For some, the answer is yes. But for majority, there should be a balance, right? So that's the birth of Amico Innovations. Yeah, so Amico means friend in Italian, which represents our companion animals.
Now, before this, you were in the business of tech and venture ecosystems. What were the core skills or lessons you learned from that industry that successfully brought over to the pet food business?
So it's the principle of really adding value. So the tech space is very different from the consumer industry. No, what the biggest difference there is, the tech space is very ruthless, I would say. So meaning if you don't really add value, you don't solve a problem that consumers really want solved, you won't survive. That's why we see the tech industry as a very, I guess, booming industry. You see all the successful ones, but for every successful startup out there, there's thousands and thousands that failed. So what we're seeing are the cream of the crop, no? The ones that survived all throughout the years. Failure rate, I believe, is 95% within the next 5 years. So the stat is really against you. And that's why everyone thinks they're solving a problem. But in the tech industry, it doesn't matter what you think. It's how others think and if they really see the value you're providing or not. In the same way, that's what we're doing here with pet food. We've seen a problem and we're checking if these are the same experiences others are experiencing. And right now, so far, the answer there is yes. And that's why we're addressing that problem.
Okay. Now, when you started this business, what were the early challenges Amico Innovations faced, and how did the brand grow its customer trust?
Okay, so before we thought if you make a really good product, a product that can sell itself, you won't have a problem. But in reality, there's so much pet food brands out there. Every week there's 1, 2 new brands. Thailand, China, everywhere else. Everyone's making their own brand. And even if you say you're delivering the value, it doesn't mean people will know the value you're delivering. At most, you have maybe 5, 10 seconds of a person's time and then it's gone. So when we started out, it was a very tough thing to convince people to even hear you out, right? That's why we went through very small on-ground events. Saturdays, Sundays, all the bazaars, we went one by one, having those very small booths, talking, being the salesman yourself, and then, of course, differentiating yourself from everyone else. It's doing the proper research, having formal studies done. So how do you really set yourself apart from everyone? Building relations from every pet shop, even the sari-sari stores just around you. So it's building that trust, because here, especially when it comes to your companion animals, trust is essential and it's not very easy to get. So it's earned through time. We're still not there yet, but I believe we're in the right direction.
Now, in 2024, Mon Nissen acquired a major stake in your business. What was the turning point that made you decide this was the right decision? And what is it like having to negotiate your business with that big of a company?
So it's not heavy on the. It was an easy choice, very easy choice actually. It's finding the right partner. So here the setup is we're still a very independent business,
Yeah.
and we go with the value we want to provide. Um, I guess when we were looking for a partner, we had to have someone who believes in the vision. And here, Mon Nissen, they're part of our board of directors. They help us by giving advice, but at the same time, their values are very aligned. If you talk to a lot of, I guess, other investors, what they look for is you need to have your crazy markups. You have to ensure we're gonna make every single money back. But that's the difference between the mindset. When you go the startup route, tech startup route, you deliver the value first, and then eventually, if the everyone accepts that value, that's when you make a sustainable company. The same way here, they also believe in that, no? So when you pitch this, others would want to squeeze out, compromise on ingredients. We need to optimize profitability. Ganon. Here, they believe the shift is happening. Bantay culture, that's not going to be the case anymore later on. And we should be providing food that's can be a bit more expensive than your typical pet food, but you know you're helping in the long term. It's the same way. Mon Nissen, they've entered the plant-based business. But that's because they've seen the need. The CEO himself, Henry, is on a plant-based diet. Diba? So that's how much he believes that can help people. And when we've discussed that, they aligned with the vision that we have. We decided, okay, this is the right partner.
And getting named to Forbes 30 Under 30 is an incredible life-altering achievement. Now, when you found out, what was your immediate unfiltered reaction? Did you celebrate right away, or did you give it time to sink in? And how did the rest of your company found out that, oh, our boss is part of the Forbes 30 Under 30, which, once again, congratulations. By the way, that's a big achievement.
So it's very funny. In the morning, I got a message from a colleague, no, a friend, also part of the Forbes 30 Under 30,
Okay.
Jello Wong. Sabi niya, congrats bro. Sabi ko, oh, for what? Sabi niya, we're Forbes 30 Under 30. I'm like, huh? Really?
Wow.
Like, sa akin, sobrang surprise. Like, very surprising siya. It's something very unexpected. And that's because we haven't even fully launched at the scale. We're planning to do it next month. Everything's going out next month. So, we're actually at a point where we're not very noisy with media. This is actually my first interview with media. So, it's very surprising that Forbes saw that value. No, we were under wraps. We're in a few groceries, pet shops a lot, but nothing major yet. Everything's in the pipeline. So it came to a surprise, but at the same time, it's very reassuring that they're seeing the value, especially in a very saturated space. If you're talking about pet food brands, almost every major family here in the Philippines has affiliations or knows someone who has a pet food brand. So it's crazy. But being able to set yourself apart and having Forbes recognize that in an international scale, it helps reassure us, and I guess reassures the vision that we are heading towards the right direction. And what we want to do, we're going to do in the Philippines and hopefully across maybe Southeast Asia later on.
Okay, so I just want to go back to your partnership with Monde. How do you stay true to your business core before having it acquired by a major stake? Because what we're seeing here, they've acquired a big stake, if I can recall.
Yes.
So how does Amico stay true to its business mandate?
So that one needs very little effort. They don't actually control anything. They
Yeah.
more of advise us on how to go about things. So they're very helpful, I would say. So this does not hinder anything. In fact, they help boost us up, introduce us to the right partners, those fur parent distributors that share the same vision, right? So, yeah, it's been a very good relationship so far. And we expect it to continue that way.
Now, since you mentioned that you are going to release more products next month, what major challenges or hurdles are you expecting to face moving forward? And what preparations are you going to make for this? Since now, what you've mentioned, the Bantay culture is no longer here, we're accepting more pets into our families. But how are we going to face these challenges head on?
Very good question. So, we're launching a line tied to our name now. So before it's Vetra, Veravit.
Yeah.
Now it's gonna be Amico.
Mm.
And this one is gonna be tailored to the different, like small breeds, large breeds, puppies. So there's more specificity. Uh, we're trying to make it so that uh, it's really optimizing on that extra maybe 3% while maintaining Veravit as a line, no? The biggest problem there is, I guess, we're not gonna be operating the same way as every large company there. So we're not gonna have endorsers slapped in our social media. So it's really gonna be working on the people who believe. And so far, right now, that's gonna be a lot of vets, no? They're really becoming our long-term partners. While not having the big celebrities is a bad thing, I guess it's also reassuring that it's the vet community that's supporting this.
Exactly.
And also, the fur parents themselves, surprisingly, a lot of them are becoming advocates. So it's traveling faster than we've expected, word of mouth wise. Yeah, in fact, this month we encountered a very big problem that might also be a good thing. We actually went zero in terms of stock, like zero. Everything spiked up May until June. So right now, that's why we made an apology video even to, I guess, cater for the next 2 weeks. But yeah, people are seeing the value and it makes me very excited.
Incredible. Now, since we mentioned the challenges to be faced by the company since you're launching more products, how about when it comes to becoming a young entrepreneur? Now, what are the common conceptions here, and how do you eventually debunk that later into your life beyond your milestone as Mr. Forbes 30 under 30?
Okay, so age has usually been pain point, especially when you get involved with, I guess, the corporate industry, the business. It's very hard to be taken seriously, no? But that was never a new thing for me. So, for example, studying MBA, I got my MBA at the age of 24, so quite young. But before, back then, when I heard the average age is around 30, that shake me up a bit. Like, okay, I'm gonna be one of the youngest people there, so I might know a lot less. Luckily, having the right people around me, I graduated valedictorian, Asian Institute of Management, and for me, like, okay, so age isn't the limiting factor. And then after that, they invited me to teach, and there it's teaching executive MBA. That's average age is 40, executives all over. So, for me, that was very tricky. Parang, how do you get the respect, the command, if you're sitting in a room where everyone's way older than you, more experience, but at the same time, when you know you're delivering the right value, and it is something that's also accepted by the people, you will eventually get that respect. And that's because you are actually delivering that value and they are seeing that benefit from you. So I guess it's the same way here, with startups. We're pretty young, but at the same time, the industry is also very, very young. The pet food industry isn't, but that also allows us to be more aggressive. We know that the younger crowd, they don't just buy things because of marketing. Of course, we all have our subconscious bias. Na if it's very well marketed, then it will be very pleasing and it's gonna convince you because that's what marketing is for. But at the same time, the new generation, they really research. They really look at what they feed their pets. That's evident in just the pandemic. Before the pandemic, very little, like a lot of people table scraps. But after they learned, okay, what's actually good? They started researching, and that's when people started shifting into pet food. And then later, okay, not just pet food, any random pet food. What's actually good for my pets? And they transitioned to that. So now with the digital, I guess, era, it's faster to communicate things, and that is a big advantage. And being part of that millennial Gen Z crowd, um, that's also, I guess, it's easier to resonate since they're very straight up. Gen Zs, millennials, they really just look for the value now. They don't want the BS, they don't want the fluff. Like, I want the value for my money, and we're here to give it. That's why I guess we resonate a lot with them.
Excellent answer. Now, looking into the future, are you focused more on cementing this brand as the ultimate household name in pets, or is this acquisition a sort of a launch pad for a completely new business chapter?
So, it is a good starting point. So, when we decided to add value, we look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. There's a lot of gaps right now. Healthcare, everything from the smallest accessories, even just the cat litter. The most popular cat litter out there is lavender scented. And people don't even know that cats are sensitive to lavender. So even those little things, it's marketed to us. For us as humans, oh, it smells good, mabango. Diba? But for cats, like, why is that the best selling? People are not as informed as they should be. So this is only the start. But it does allow us, because nutrition is the most important thing. If you have very good nutrition from the start, you won't be able to completely prevent having to spend on healthcare, because a big part of it is really genetic. Breed, environment, stress, same as us humans, no? Pero it is something we can control day to day, and it affects things long term. So we start with that, and then we expand as we go. But the goal is really not just pet food, but pet care. So everything that deals with wellness, improving the lives of not just the fur babies, but the fur parents themselves. Putting people at ease and giving what us Filipinos, what we deserve. So it's raising the industry standard.
Now, I just have one last. Now, in your own version of the sit down, who would you want to interview and why? I'm sorry, I know it's a very Miss Universe question, but if you had your own version of your sit down podcast, who would you want to sit down with?
Oh, that's very interesting. I've done a lot of sit downs with the CEO of Monde, Henry, and he inspires me a lot. He's very good, he's very sharp, even at a very old age already. He's very active, and I guess going in depth, that's something that would be very, very interesting for me. Yeah, we've had business talks, but on the more personal level, views of things, views of the industry, that would be very nice.
Okay, I think that's the time we have for today. Thank you so much, Mr. Kharl. This has been the sit down.
Thank you, Gabby.